Hello YouTube, this is James along with my partner Blake. We have created a GUI project for our final. With this demonstration, we will show you our implementation of our version of BattleShip along with some of the code that we use to make it possible. So please enjoy this presentation. For our problem statement, we have boredom is a real problem that haunts people on a daily basis. Wilhelm Hunt, the father of modern psychology, theorized that boredom was the mind's way of conserving cognitive resources. When the brain becomes bored, it wanders and seeks activity that typically leads to incorrect behavior. Many techniques to combat boredom has been developed over the years, but none as successful, addictive, or fulfilling as games. Our user base and stakeholders. Users would include everyone from ages 7 and older. Our stakeholders could include any company that makes a manual version of the game and wants to convert to digital. Additional possible stakeholders could include websites looking for ways to increase their traffic. The problems are solved. This solution can solve moderate to mild causes of boredom for a minimum of 10 minutes and an unlimited maximum amount of time, depending on user interest. The game could be hosted on a web application that would keep users from having to pack the actual game when they traveled. In conclusion, our team created a graphical user interface that uses core concepts of GUI development and human-computer interaction. Our team implemented a solution to boredom that was unique in design and used distinguished characteristics of an event-driven program. Our team achieved core functionality and most of the designs outlined in the project proposal. Now please enjoy this demonstration of our version of BattleShip. As you see, we've packaged the game to be launched on any computer. Simply clicking the game icon will launch the game to our splash screen and then to our intro screen. This intro screen will detail how the gameplay is, the buttons, what they do, and how to actually play the game. Once all that is read, you can click on the Play Now, which will then take you to the Player 1 screen. Here it's asking for Player 1 to choose a layout. We'll simply click OK and go over here to Quick Set. The Quick Set will set up the ships for Player 1 in a random order. Get Layout 5. We'll go ahead and say we're happy with that one. The turn gets incremented. We go to Player 2's screen. Player 2 will choose a layout. And go with 4, or we can do 2 or 5. We'll go ahead and go with 1. We're happy with that. Clicking the I'm happy button here will lock in the Player 2's ship location inside the code. I said OK. It goes back to Player 1 screen, and now we're ready to fire. As you can see, the buttons have been disabled, so we can no longer change our board layout. And right now, currently, you see, I cannot click on the fire button as we do not have coordinates to fire at. So we'll select our first coordinates. We'll say A1, and we'll fire. We'll get a message saying it's on the way. Don't mind the error, it's not really an error. And you hit. The turn will be incremented. We'll go to Player 2 screen. Here in Player 2 screen, once again, fire button is disabled, quick sets and I'm happy is disabled. The only button you can click would be the exit game or the radio buttons. For these the grids over here, we used a picture icon, and we just it was the easiest thing to go with. We'll make a shot selection for Player 2 here. B1, and on the way, and we hit. Now, if you were to select the same square you did previously, and you fire again, you will get an error message saying that you've already fired this location and you need to select a new coordinate. This keeps the game from incrementing the turn going to the next player without you actually having fired a shot, or having, fired a shot the same coordinate you've already hit. So we'll select a new coordinate, B1. Actually, let's go ahead and go for a miss right now. So we'll say B2. And we missed. As right now I have this in demo mode, so there's only 2 lives for the players. Normally the players will have 16 lives to account for the 16 possible hits for the ships. Player 2 can go ahead and fire. And it looks like player 2 has won, as player 1 only had 2 lives. So player 2 is the winner. There are 5 turns in the game. Player 1 had 0 hits left, and player 2 had 1 hit left. Now at this point you can select play again, which will relaunch the application, or you can select quit, which will close out the application. We click play again, relaunches the application to the splash screen, or intro screen, back into player 1 setup. From here player 1 can once again set the his battlefield and click on happy. We'll go ahead and exit the game from our button here, and this closes down the application. For the code that actually sets up the game space, we had our reset images function here, which initially sets up the battlefield with the teal buttons, and then our reset game layouts is called every time we go between the player screens. That way we can hold the values. For when we make our shot placement, we convert the radio buttons into the numbers so we can access our array, and we code for each button A1 through I8, and we'll check for misses, we'll check for hits, and if you've already hit this location, then we'll display that as well. Then we had to exit the subroutine here in order to prevent the game from incrementing the turn and going to the next player's turn. Down here at the bottom. The change player is called once you've taken a hit and it's confirmed as a hit or miss, then we'll call the player function, which is just simply switches between player 1 and player 2. For our ready to fire, this is called whenever we select our radio buttons, and it confirms that we do have both radio buttons selected. That way we can enable the fire button. Upon clicking the fire button, it gives you the message that it's on the way, and it calls the check hit function. The check hit function is the function that checks if the player 2's ships are in that location or not. That's part of that. It's part of the code that displays the error messages, displays the fire, displays the hits, misses. So that's that. This right here is the initial battle setup of the player 1 and player 2 screens. Both of them are identical. And this is how we do our game layouts. We have 6 in total that are randomly chosen. And we will set the color to gray for if there's a ship there. So at A1, A2, A3, A4, A5 would be the aircraft carrier for game layout 1. And under the reset game layout, this is called once the I'm happy button has been clicked, and it now iterates back and forth between reset game layout every time the form load is called. So we can check if the colors are gray, red, or black, indicating a ship, a hit, or a miss. And that is it. I hope you enjoy.